Lead with Authenticity, a guide to integrity, self-nurturing, and sustainable leadership. Table of contents. Introduction. The authentic struggle, the dilemma of incongruence. When you feel like a fraud, balancing authenticity and aspiration. Owning. Your journey, the pitfalls of pretense, why faking it doesn't work, the cost of overgiving. Burnout, resentment, and the need for boundaries. The power of transparency, the strength in vulnerability. Reflection, questions and exercises, the influence illusion. How social media distorts reality. The fear of being seen for who we really are. The power of patience. Why growth is a slow cooker, not a microwave. The cost of pouring from an empty cup. Practical strategies for living authentically. Reflection, questions, and exercises. How to keep this journey going. Acknowledgements. My journey. A story of struggle, growth, and authenticity. Resources for further learning. Introduction. The authentic struggle. I never thought I'd write this book. For years, I've been the person people come to for advice, wisdom, and encouragement. It's a role I cherish, but it's also one that often leaves me drained. There were days when I had nothing left to give, but still felt the pressure to show up, to lead, to guide, to be the strong one. But what happens when the strong one feels weak? This book is for anyone who has ever felt the weight of expectation, pressing down on them. It's for leaders, mentors, parents, teachers, coaches, and anyone in a position where people look to them for guidance. It's for those of us who have felt like frauds, not because we lack knowledge or wisdom, but because we struggle to practice what we preach. I want to invite you into a conversation, one that challenges the unrealistic expectation of perfection. This is about finding balance, learning to lead with authenticity, and giving to others without losing yourself in the process. We live in a world where giving, mentoring, and leading others often come at the expense of our own well-being. Many of us, especially those in leadership roles, feel the constant pull to be a beacon of wisdom, even when we ourselves feel lost. I have found myself in this position many times. As a mentor, teacher, and leader, I often felt the expectation to always have answers, to always be composed, and to always lead by example. But what happens when your cup is empty? How do you pour into others when you feel you have nothing left? This book is about navigating this challenge, about balancing authenticity and wisdom. It's about giving to others without betraying yourself. It's about leading while learning, inspiring while struggling, and being truthful while aspiring for greatness. Exercise. Reflect on a time when you gave advice or support while struggling personally. How did that experience feel? Write down 3 areas of your life where you feel inauthentic in your leadership or guidance. Chapter 1. The Dilemma of Incongruence. When you feel like a fraud. Why we feel like frauds. Many of us feel like imposters because we assume that leaders must be perfect. The problem isn't our knowledge or skill. It's the expectation that we should always live by the highest standards without struggle. You can be a health coach and still crave junk food. You can be a financial advisor and still make money mistakes. You can be a teacher and still struggle to stay motivated. Your struggles do not cancel out your wisdom. Reflection. Exercise. Identifying your incongruence. Take a moment to reflect. Where in your life do you feel incongruent? What areas make you feel like a fraud? How can you reframe your thinking to accept your imperfections? Write your thoughts in a journal. Recognizing these areas is the first step toward balancing authenticity and wisdom. Chapter 2. Balancing authenticity and aspiration. Owning your journey, telling the truth without losing credibility. Instead of saying, "I always wake up at 5 a.m., say, "I know waking up early is beneficial, and I'm working toward consistency." Instead of saying, "I never procrastinate," say, I understand how to beat procrastination, and I'm learning to apply it in my own life. By embracing transparency, you create trust and show others that growth is a process. Practical. Exercise. Rewriting your narrative. Take an area where you feel incongruent and rewrite the way you present it. Instead of pretending perfection, frame it as a journey. Example: I always eat healthy. I strive to eat healthy, but I also enjoy indulgences in moderation. This small shift makes a world of difference in how people perceive your authenticity. Chapter 3. The Pitfalls of Pretense. Why Faking It Doesn't Work. The social media trap many influencers promote a perfect life that isn't real. This creates pressure for us to do the same. But the truth is, pretending always leads to burnout, disappointment, and distrust. The people who thrive in leadership are those who allow themselves to be seen as they truly are. Real-life example: the power of authenticity. I once met a coach who admitted on social media that they still struggle with confidence. Instead of losing followers, they gained thousands. Why? Because people relate to honesty, not perfection. Chapter 4. The Cost of Overgiving. Burnout, resentment, and the need for boundaries. Signs. You're overgiving. You feel emotionally drained after conversations. You say yes when you really mean no. You feel resentful toward the people who rely on you. Boundary setting exercise. The what's mine test ask. Yourself. What is mine to carry? What belongs to others? Not every problem is yours to fix. Letting go is part of healthy leadership. Chapter 5. The Power of Transparency. The strength in vulnerability, transparency fosters connection. When we pretend to be perfect, we distance ourselves from those we lead. People respect honesty far more than they respect unattainable perfection. By openly sharing our struggles, we create a safe space for others to do the same. Exercise. Identify one struggle you feel comfortable sharing with those you mentor. Plan how to communicate it in a way that encourages, rather than discourages, others. Chapter 6. Reflection questions and exercises. What areas of your life feel incongruent with your message? When was the last time you felt like a fraud? What triggered that feeling? What's one small step you can take to live more authentically today? How do you currently manage burnout? Do you need to adjust your boundaries? Who in your life models authenticity? What can you learn from them? Conclusion. Finding strength in vulnerability. At the end of the day, leadership is not about being perfect. It's about being real. If you take one thing away from this book, let it be this. You don't have to be perfect to make an impact. You can be a work in progress and still be an incredible leader. You can struggle and still be an amazing mentor. You can have moments of doubt and still inspire others. Your authenticity is your greatest strength. So, let's lead with honesty. Let's give from a place of wholeness. Let's stop pretending and start owning our journey. And as we do, we'll create a culture where growth is celebrated, struggles are acknowledged, and authenticity is the foundation of everything we do. Chapter 7. The Influence Illusion. How social media distorts reality. The digital age has amplified the pressure to appear perfect. Social media is flooded with people portraying success, happiness, and confidence. Yet behind the scenes, many struggle with self-doubt, anxiety, and exhaustion. I remember when I first stepped into leadership, I felt the need to present myself as someone who had everything figured out. I crafted an image of strength and confidence, but deep down I was struggling. I was exhausted, overwhelmed, and unsure of myself. Yet I continued to project an illusion of having it all together, afraid that revealing my struggles would diminish my credibility. The reality is that people connect with authenticity, not perfection. We are drawn to those who share their real stories, both their victories and their struggles. The illusion of effortless success creates unrealistic expectations, not just for our audience, but for ourselves. Exercise. Reflect on an area where you may be presenting an image that does not align with your reality. How can you bring more authenticity into your interactions? Identify a leader or public figure whose authenticity inspires you. What do they do differently? Chapter 8. The fear of being seen for who we really are. What if people knew the real you? Would they still respect you? Many of us have spent years building a version of ourselves that fits into societal expectations, but what happens when that version feels like a burden? I once mentored a young woman who was struggling with self-acceptance. She confided in me that she felt immense pressure to maintain an image of success, even though she was drowning in stress. When I shared my own experiences with self-doubt and imperfection, her entire demeanor changed. She realized she wasn't alone, and that being honest about her struggles wouldn't make her less worthy. It would make her human. True leadership is about connection, and connection is only possible when we allow ourselves to be seen, flaws and all. Exercise. Write down one truth about yourself you've been afraid to share. What's the worst that could happen if you shared it? Consider sharing one personal challenge with someone you trust. Observe their reaction and reflect on how it makes you feel. Chapter 9. The Power of Patience. Why growth is a slow cooker, not a microwave. In a fast-paced world, we're conditioned to believe that success must come quickly. We celebrate overnight, success stories and instant transformations, but the truth is, most meaningful growth happens gradually. I used to chase quick wins, believing that if I wasn't achieving something significant every day, I was failing. But real progress is like slow-cooked food. It takes time, patience, and consistent effort. Instead of pressuring ourselves to achieve immediate perfection, we should embrace slow, steady growth. The journey is just as valuable as the destination. Exercise. Identify one area of your life where you can embrace slow, steady progress rather than instant results. Set a long-term goal and break it down into small, achievable steps. Chapter 10. The cost of pouring from an empty cup. Many of us give endlessly to others, our families, our jobs, our communities, without taking time to replenish ourselves. We assume that self-care is selfish, but in reality, an empty cup cannot pour into another. I remember a period when I was mentoring several people at once while juggling personal struggles. I thought I was being strong, but in reality, I was exhausted and ineffective. It took me breaking down to realize that I needed to take care of myself first. Exercise. List 3 ways you can refill your cup this week. Schedule 1 intentional rest activity this week. Chapter 11. Practical strategies. For living authentically, authenticity isn't just a concept, it's a practice. Here are practical ways to cultivate authenticity in your daily life. Own your truth. Be honest about your struggles. Share them when appropriate. Let people know that you are growing alongside them. Learn to say no boundaries. Protect your energy. Saying no doesn't make you selfish, it makes you sustainable. Prioritize self-care. Rest is not laziness. It's an investment in your ability to serve others well. Seek community. Surround yourself with people who encourage authenticity. Having a support system makes all the difference. Lead with vulnerability. People connect with realness, not perfection. The more open you are, the deeper your impact will be. Chapter 12. Reflection. Questions and exercises. At the end of each chapter, take a moment to reflect on your journey. What areas of your life feel incongruent with your message? When was the last time you felt like a fraud? What triggered that feeling? What's one small step you can take to live more authentically today? How do you currently manage burnout? Do you need to adjust your boundaries? Who in your life models authenticity? What can you learn from them? Conclusion. Finding strength in vulnerability. At the end of the day, leadership is not about being perfect. It's about being real. If you take one thing away from this book, let it be this. You don't have to be perfect to make an impact. You can be a work in progress and still be an incredible leader. You can struggle and still be an amazing mentor. You can have moments of doubt and still inspire others. Your authenticity is your greatest strength. So let's lead with honesty. Let's give from a place of wholeness. Let's stop pretending and start owning our journey. And as we do, we'll create a culture where growth is celebrated, struggles are acknowledged, and authenticity is the foundation of everything we do. Thank you for reading. Let's walk this journey together. Chapter 13. How to keep this journey going. The journey to balancing authenticity and wisdom is ongoing. There is no final destination, no moment where you will have it all figured out. Instead, it's about choosing to live authentically every day, making small adjustments, and learning to lead with both wisdom and vulnerability. So, how do you keep this journey going? 1. Commit to continuous growth. Authenticity is not a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. The more you embrace who you are, the more confidence you build in yourself and your leadership. Ask yourself, what areas of my life still feel incongruent? How can I continue growing without pretending to be perfect? Who do I need to learn from to deepen my understanding? Hack. Surround yourself with authentic people. Who you surround yourself with matters. Seek out people who value honesty, growth, and real conversations. Avoid those who pressure you to be someone you're not. Consider joining communities that encourage transparency and self-improvement. Whether online or in person, having a support system makes this journey easier. Reflect regularly. Journaling, meditation, and deep conversations can help you stay aligned with your true self. Schedule time for self-reflection. Daily. Ask yourself, was I true to myself today? Weekly. Review your actions and words. Did they reflect your values? Monthly. Set new goals for personal and professional growth. Accept that you will slip up. There will be days when you feel like an imposter. Days when you fall into old habits. Days when you give more than you should. That's okay. Authenticity doesn't mean never struggling. It means recognizing your struggles and adjusting. Give yourself the same grace you give others. Share your journey with others. The best way to continue growing is to help others grow too. By sharing your story, your lessons, your struggles, your breakthroughs, you inspire others to embrace their own authenticity. The world needs more real leaders. Keep leading, keep growing, and keep showing up as your true self. Chapter 14. Acknowledgements. No book is written in isolation, and this one is no exception. I want to thank my mentors, coaches, and teachers who have guided me along this path of self-awareness and growth. Your wisdom has shaped me into the person I am today. To my friends and family, thank you for supporting me, for letting me be my true self, and for reminding me that imperfection is human. To my readers, this book exists because of you. Your willingness to grow, to be real, and to seek wisdom inspires me every day. Thank you for choosing to walk this journey with me. Most importantly, thank you to everyone who has ever struggled with authenticity, yet continued to show up. You are proof that honesty, vulnerability, and self-awareness are the true marks of leadership. This is only the beginning. Let's keep growing together. Chapter 15. My Journey. A story of struggle, growth, and authenticity. There was a time in my life when I was giving everything to others but had nothing left for myself. I was working tirelessly, mentoring, teaching, and leading, believing that my value came from how much I could give. People saw me as strong, wise, and reliable, but behind closed doors, I was exhausted, questioning my own worth. One evening, I sat in my living room, overwhelmed by the weight of my responsibilities. My phone buzzed with messages from people seeking guidance, but I had nothing left to offer. I felt empty, disconnected from the very wisdom I preached. How could I inspire others when I was struggling to find inspiration myself? I thought back to my childhood, growing up in a household where giving was a virtue, but receiving felt like weakness. My parents always emphasized the importance of serving others, but they never taught me how to serve myself. I carried this belief into adulthood, wearing my exhaustion like a badge of honor. Then, life forced me to stop. My body, pushed to its limits, gave out. I fell ill, and for the first time, I had no choice but to rest. It was in this stillness that I realized something profound. I had been leading from a place of depletion, not abundance. Exercise. Reflect on a time when you felt drained from constantly giving. What led to that moment? Write down 3 ways you can prioritize yourself without guilt. Identify one person you can be honest with about your struggles and share your experience. This book is a roadmap for leading with honesty while protecting your well-being. May it empower you to serve others while remaining true to yourself. Chapter 16. Resources for further learning. The journey to living authentically and balancing wisdom with vulnerability doesn't end here. Growth is a lifelong process, one that deepens with continuous learning and intentional practice. In this chapter, you'll find carefully selected books, podcasts, and exercises designed to support your ongoing journey toward truth, integrity, and personal fulfillment. As we conclude this book, I want to equip you with practical tools and insights that can help you integrate authenticity into your daily life. These are strategies I have found invaluable, and I hope they serve you just as well. The Authenticity Framework. A daily practice. Authenticity is not a one-time decision, but a lifelong commitment. Here's a simple framework to help you stay aligned with your true self. A. Awareness. Recognize when you're feeling disconnected. Ask yourself daily, am I being honest with myself today? Identify moments when you feel pressured to be someone you're not. U. Unlearning. Let go of limiting beliefs. Recognize any thoughts telling you that you must be perfect to be valuable. Challenge internalized pressure to always have the answers. T. Truth-telling. Commit to radical honesty. Speak your truth, even in small ways. If you don't know something, admit it. If you need rest, take it. H. Humanity. Embrace your imperfections. Remind yourself, people connect with my realness, not my perfection. Celebrate small wins rather than waiting for a perfect version of yourself. Breaking the cycle of overgiving often stems from beliefs like, I am only valuable if I am helping others. If I set boundaries, people will stop needing me. I cannot rest until everyone else is okay. If any of these resonate with you, try these reframes. Your value is inherent, not tied to how much you give. Boundaries strengthen relationships, not weaken them. Your rest is essential, not optional. Create a giving inventory. List the people and commitments that require your energy. Identify which feel fulfilling and which feel draining. Reduce or restructure obligations that deplete you. Remember, self-care is not selfish. It's necessary for sustainable impact. The slow cooker mindset. Letting go of quick results in a world obsessed with instant success, we must learn to embrace the slow cooker mindset. A microwave heats food quickly but unevenly. A slow cooker takes its time, allowing flavors to develop deeply. Practical steps. Focus on long-term growth instead of instant results. Allow yourself to progress at your own pace, without comparison. Celebrate small steps forward, no matter how slow they seem. Replacing should with could self-doubt often stems from the word should. I should wake up at 5 a.m. I should always have an answer. I should be more disciplined. Try replacing should with could. I could wake up at 5 a.m., but I am finding what works for me. I could be more disciplined, and I'm taking small steps toward that. I could always have an answer, but I am okay admitting when I don't. This small shift creates space for growth instead of guilt. Leading. With vulnerability. The power of I don't know. One of the greatest leadership myths is that you must always have the answers. But saying I don't know can be one of the most powerful things you do. Instead of guessing, say, that's a great question. Let me research it. Instead of pretending, say, I don't know yet, but let's figure it out together. Instead of over-explaining, say, I'm still learning about that. This approach builds trust, invites collaboration, and makes you more relatable. Final thoughts. A letter to you, dear reader. You've reached the end of this book, and I hope you're walking away with more clarity, courage, and permission to be yourself. I want to remind you, your authenticity is your greatest gift. Your imperfections make you human, not unqualified. Your presence is enough, without overgiving or overproving. So lead boldly. Speak honestly. Rest when you need to. And always, always choose realness over perfection. With love and authenticity, Iyabo Bello. How to keep this journey going. Follow me on social media for more insights on authenticity and leadership. Join my community for discussions and support from like-minded people. Share your takeaways. I'd love to hear what resonated most with you. You are never alone in this journey. Let's keep growing together. Acknowledgements. No book is written in isolation. I want to express my gratitude to my mentors and teachers who modeled authentic leadership, my friends and family who supported me in moments of doubt, you, the reader, for being part of this conversation. Your willingness to embrace authenticity gives this work meaning. Thank you for allowing me to share this journey with you. Resources for further learning books to deepen your understanding. Daring Greatly. Brené Brown, The Gifts of Imperfection. Brené Brown, Radical Candor. Kim Scott, The Courage to be Disliked. Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. Essentialism. Greg McKeown. Atomic Habits. James Clear Podcasts for Growth and Authenticity. Unlocking Us. Brené Brown. The Tim Ferriss Show. Tim Ferriss. The Tony Robbins Podcast. Tony Robbins. The Good Life Project. Jonathan Fields Journaling Prompts. For self-reflection. What does authenticity mean to me right now? Where do I feel pressure to be someone I'm not? What small action can I take today to align with my values? How can I be more intentional about setting boundaries? Who in my life models authenticity well, and what can I learn from them? Practical action steps. Apply one key lesson from this book immediately. Find an accountability partner or support group. Commit to lifelong learning. Read, listen, engage. Share your story. Authenticity inspires others. Give yourself grace. Growth is a journey, not a destination. Final thought. The world doesn't need more people pretending to be perfect. It needs more people willing to show up as they are. Keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep being you.